Elliot's heart raced as he prepared to wrap the gown. "Excellent choice, Mrs. Trump. It will look stunning on you," he said, putting all his effort into sounding genuine. Melania watched him carefully, her expression neutral but thoughtful. "Thank you. I hope this time the service matches the merchandise," she replied, her tone edged with an underlying challenge. Elliot nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He guided her to the fitting room, where the gown would be altered to fit her perfectly. As she changed, he took a moment to gather his thoughts. This was an opportunity to redeem himself, but he needed to ensure that he did not just apologize, but also demonstrated genuine respect. When Melania stepped out in the gown, she radiated confidence. Elliot felt a spark of admiration. "You look phenomenal," he managed to say, visibly impressed. She regarded him thoughtfully, the corner of her mouth lifting slightly, though not quite into a smile. "I appreciate that, Elliot. But remember, it's not just about the dress. It's about the experience." He swallowed, understanding the implications. "Absolutely. I want to ensure your experience today exceeds your expectations." Melania nodded, her eyes narrowing slightly, as if assessing his sincerity. "Good. I'm not just any customer," she declared. Elliot flinched momentarily but quickly regained his composure. He had learned his lesson the hard way and was determined not to let that happen again. "I understand, and I take that to heart." The fitting session went smoothly, the atmosphere shifting from tense to collaborative as they discussed styles and accessories. For the first time, Elliot felt genuine satisfaction in providing a personalized service, eager to prove that he had evolved from the dismissive manager she had encountered previously. After making final adjustments to the gown, Melania looked in the mirror, her expression approving. "It fits perfectly." "Thank you," she said, her tone softer. Elliot smiled, relieved. "It's my pleasure. If you need anything else, please don't hesitate to ask." As Melania prepared to leave, she paused at the door, her sunglasses perched on her nose. "Remember to treat every customer with respect, no matter their appearance. You never know who you might be judging," she advised. Elliot nodded, a newfound respect for her sinking in. "I will. Thank you for this opportunity to learn." With that, Melania stepped out onto the bustling streets of Manhattan once more, her confidence restored. The door closed behind her, leaving Elliot alone in the boutique, reflecting on the transformative experience. He realized that this was more than just a business lesson. It was a reminder that everyone has a story, and it is vital to approach each person with openness and respect. The incident that had once embarrassed him now served as a turning point, reshaping his perspective on luxury and individuality. Following Melania's departure, Elliot began to foster a more inclusive environment in Latoya Luxe, ensuring that every customer felt welcomed, regardless of their background or appearance. As the week unfolded, whispers of Melania's presence at the boutique circulated among the city's elite. This shift not only enhanced the reputation of Latoya Luxe, but also solidified Melania's role as a woman who transcended the boundaries set by societal expectations, demonstrating that true grace lies in resilience and the ability to rise above challenging moments. You need to learn to appreciate the diversity of talent out there. The world is changing, Elliot, and you've got to adapt. Elliot nodded slowly, absorbing her words. "But how? How do I rebuild what I've lost?" "Start by being transparent. Acknowledge the mistakes you've made. Reach out to new voices in the industry, not just the established ones. Show true support for designers like Mia. That's how you rebuild trust. Once you do, the clients will follow." Her advice resonated with him. It would be a long road, and he would have to take a hard look at the values that had guided him for so long. But for the first time in weeks, he felt a flicker of hope. Meanwhile, Mia and Melania's foundation began gaining momentum. They organized workshops, showcasing emerging designers and their collections, providing mentorship opportunities and a platform for creative expression. Each event drew attention from the fashion elite, eager to support this new initiative that promised inclusivity in a traditionally exclusive space. As months passed, Mia's success continued to soar, and she remained grateful for Melania's belief in her talent. In her studio, she often reflected on how one decision could alter the course of a life. She was revitalizing the industry, one design at a time, embodying the humility and resilience that Melania had championed. Elliot, on the other hand, faced the daunting task of redefining his identity. He started attending Mia's workshops and networking events, eager to learn from a broader pool of talent. It was humbling, but he was determined not to repeat the mistakes of the past. With each encounter, he began to understand the importance of collaboration rather than competition. A twist of fate. As the foundation flourished, Elliot found himself reintroduced to Mia at one of their events. The initial awkwardness gave way to genuine conversation. "I admire what you and Melania are doing," he said, his tone sincere. "It's inspiring to see new voices getting the recognition they deserve." Mia smiled, a hint of caution in her eyes. "Thank you, Elliot. It's about fostering a community, not creating barriers." "I understand that now," he admitted. "It took me a while to see the value in that." With time, Elliot's efforts began to pay off. Slowly but surely, he rebuilt his reputation, not as an elitist, but as a promoter of talent. The evolution of Latoya Luxe transformed into a platform for diversity, where designers, irrespective of their backgrounds, could showcase their artistry. There were still challenges ahead, but the lessons learned from the gala and Melania's bold choice guided him toward a new path. As the foundation continued to thrive, Melania and Mia emerged as leaders in the industry, proving that true elegance lies in elevating others. The fashion world was richer for it, and so were the careers that blossomed in the wake of their collaborative vision. And while Elliot's journey was still a work in progress, he found solace in the knowledge that his past did not have to define him. Reinvention was possible, especially when fueled by authenticity and a commitment to fostering growth in others. If you want to rebuild, you need to start by being honest with yourself and with others. Elliot nodded, her words striking a chord. Over the following weeks, he began to make amends, reaching out to former clients and colleagues to acknowledge his mistakes. He also started volunteering at a local fashion school, sharing his knowledge with students who lacked access to industry resources. Though the journey was humbling, it also proved transformative. For the first time, Elliot found fulfillment in lifting others up rather than guarding the gates of success. Months later, a new event took center stage in Manhattan, a showcase hosted by the Emerging Designers Foundation, spearheaded by Melania and Mia. The event celebrated diversity and creativity, featuring collections from designers of all backgrounds and levels of experience. Elliot attended the event, not as a guest of honor, but as a quiet observer. As he walked through the gallery, admiring the work of the young designers, he spotted Melania and Mia across the room. Gathering his courage, he approached them. "Mrs. Trump, Mia," he began, his tone sincere. "I owe you both an apology. For everything." Melania regarded him with a calm, measured gaze. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong," she said. "What matters is what you do next." Mia nodded, offering a small smile. "People can change. It's never too late to start over." Elliot thanked them, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time in months. As the evening drew to a close, Melania stood at the edge of the gallery, watching the crowd with a quiet sense of satisfaction. The event had exceeded her expectations, showcasing not just fashion but resilience, creativity, and the power of redemption. For Elliot, Mia, and countless others, the night was a testament to the idea that growth often comes from the most unexpected places, and that even in a world as competitive as fashion, there was room for second chances. The air was electric at the Emerging Designers Foundation showcase. A-list celebrities, journalists, and industry heavyweights filled the grand hall, all abuzz with curiosity about the highly anticipated event. The initiative had quickly become a beacon for promoting overlooked talent in fashion, and tonight promised to deliver surprises that would shake the industry. At the heart of it all was Mia, her name now synonymous with brilliance and innovation. Her collection, debuting tonight, was the crown jewel of the showcase. Yet, what intrigued many was Melania's cryptic promise that this evening would be an unforgettable lesson in humility and redemption. Elliot was there too, invited at Mia's insistence, though he felt out of place. Stripped of his former power, he had come to see the event as a chance to learn, if not to redeem himself. then at least to gain perspective. Still, anxiety churned in his gut as he anticipated the unveiling of Mia's collection. Melania and Mia stood together backstage, watching the hall fill with influential figures. "Are you ready for this?" Melania asked. Mia nodded, though her hands trembled slightly. "I've worked so hard for this moment, but are you sure about the final touch?" Melania smiled knowingly. It's time the world understood what true value looks like. The showcase began with a series of stunning collections, each more innovative than the last. Applause echoed through the hall as each designer took their bow. By the time Mia's collection was announced, the room was thrumming with anticipation. The lights dimmed, and the first model stepped onto the runway. Mia's designs were breathtaking, an ethereal blend of classic and avant-garde, with rich textures and bold, unexpected details. Each piece told a story, weaving themes of resilience, diversity, and the beauty of imperfection. The audience was spellbound, and murmurs of admiration rippled through the crowd. Then came the final piece, a gown unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It was a masterwork of craftsmanship, adorned with intricate embroidery and shimmering beadwork. But what truly captivated the audience was the statement stitched into the fabric, a single phrase, written in elegant script. "True elegance has no gatekeepers." The message was as undeniable as the artistry. The audience erupted into applause, the weight of the statement reverberating through the room. Elliot, seated near the back, felt a lump rise in his throat. The message was a direct rebuke to the values he had upheld for years, and yet, he couldn't deny its truth. As the applause died down, Melania stepped onto the runway, microphone in hand. The room fell silent. "Tonight, we celebrate talent, creativity, and the courage to break barriers," she began. "This collection is not just a testament to Mia Lawrence's brilliance, it is a statement. For too long, our industry has been dominated by exclusivity, arrogance, and the belief that worth is determined by status. But tonight, we reject that notion." She paused, her gaze sweeping over the audience. "I want to acknowledge someone who embodies the lesson we all need to learn. Elliot Montgomery, please stand." Elliot froze, every eye in the room turning toward him. Reluctantly, he rose, his face pale but composed. "Elliot and I had an unpleasant encounter that led us here," Melania continued. "But tonight is not about punishment. It's about growth. Elliot, you once believed that luxury was defined by exclusion. I hope you leave here understanding that true luxury is defined by inclusion, by recognizing and celebrating the unique beauty in everyone." The audience clapped politely, though the moment was heavy with tension. Elliot nodded, his voice catching as he said, "Thank you. I'm learning." Mia joined Melania on stage, her expression a mix of pride and determination. "This night is for everyone who has ever been told they don't belong," she said. "To the gatekeepers, your time is over." The audience erupted in cheers, the room alight with energy. After the event, as the crowd mingled, Elliot found himself face-to-face with Mia. He hesitated before speaking. "Mia, I don't know how to thank you for inviting me tonight. It was eye-opening." Mia regarded him thoughtfully. "I didn't do it for you, Elliot. I did it for everyone who's been turned away, dismissed, or underestimated. But I hope you take this as a chance to change." "I will," Elliot said earnestly. "I've already started, and I owe that to you and to Melania." Mia's expression softened. "Good. Then maybe there's hope for you after all." As the evening wound down, Melania stood on the balcony, overlooking the city. Nadine joined her, a glass of champagne in hand. "Quite the show," Nadine remarked. Melania smiled. "It wasn't just a show. It was a message. And I think it landed exactly where it needed to." Indeed, by the next morning, headlines across the world carried the story of the showcase, celebrating not just Mia's collection but the bold statement it made about the fashion industry's future. For Elliot, the message would stay with him forever, a humbling reminder of the cost of arrogance and the power of second chances. The morning after the showcase, Manhattan awoke to a new narrative in the fashion world. Headlines sing the praises of Mia Lawrence's transformative collection and the powerful statement it had delivered. The phrase embroidered into the final gown, "True elegance has no gatekeepers," became a rallying cry on social media. Hashtags like "Elegance for All" and "Gatekeepers No More" trended worldwide, sparking conversations about inclusivity, creativity, and the evolving definition of luxury. For Mia, the success of the showcase was a dream realized. Orders for her designs poured in from global fashion houses, and invitations to speak at prestigious events filled her calendar. Yet, amidst the whirlwind, she remained grounded, dedicating time to mentoring young designers and expanding the Emerging Designers Foundation with Melania. During a press conference held a week later, Mia addressed a room full of reporters, her voice steady and impassioned. "This isn't just about fashion," she said. "It's about creating space for voices that have been ignored for too long. It's about celebrating diversity, not as a trend, but as a fundamental part of who we are." Melania stood beside her, offering a nod of approval. "This foundation will continue to elevate talent and dismantle the barriers that have held so many back," she added. "We're not just building careers, we're building a movement." For Elliot Montgomery, life had shifted dramatically. The fallout from the gala and showcase had left LaToile Luxe reeling. Foot traffic to the boutique had dwindled, and longtime clients had withdrawn their support, preferring to align themselves with brands that embraced the inclusivity Mia and Melania championed. Elliot found himself at a crossroads. The man who had once thrived on exclusivity and prestige now faced the harsh reality of his own obsolescence. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was an opportunity to rebuild, not just his career, but himself. He began by stepping away from the boutique, handing over management to a younger, more progressive team. Then, he turned his focus inward, volunteering his expertise at local fashion schools and offering guidance to up-and-coming designers. He attended workshops on leadership and inclusivity, determined to unlearn the toxic habits that had defined his career. One day, Elliot visited the Emerging Designers Foundation's headquarters unannounced. He asked to speak with Mia, who greeted him with cautious curiosity. "I don't expect forgiveness," Elliot said, his tone sincere. "But I wanted to thank you for opening my eyes. I've started over, and I'd like to contribute to the foundation if you'll allow it." Mia considered him for a long moment before nodding. "We'll see how serious you are. Actions speak louder than words." From that day forward, Elliot became a quiet yet steadfast supporter of the foundation, using his connections to secure funding and opportunities for young designers. Though he was no longer the gatekeeper, he found satisfaction in helping others succeed. Months turned into a year, and the fashion world began to shift. Inspired by Mia's success and Melania's advocacy, other brands started adopting more inclusive practices. The Emerging Designers Foundation expanded its reach, hosting workshops, funding scholarships, and launching collections from previously overlooked talents. At the foundation's first anniversary gala, Mia stood on stage alongside Melania, addressing a packed room of supporters. "This year has proven that change is possible," she said. "But this is just the beginning. Together, we can ensure that no one is left out, no matter their background, their story, or their dreams." The audience erupted into applause, their cheers a testament to the movement's growing momentum. As the evening wound down, Mia and Melania shared a quiet moment on the balcony, gazing out at the city lights. "Do you think we've done enough?" Mia asked. Melania smiled, her eyes reflecting a quiet wisdom. "Change takes time, but what matters is that we've started. And that's enough for now." For the people touched by the foundation's work, designers, clients, and even Elliot, life continued, but with a renewed sense of purpose. The fashion world, once defined by rigid hierarchies and exclusivity, now hummed with the energy of innovation and inclusion. Mia's designs remained in high demand, her name etched in the industry's history. Elliot found peace in his new role, his once fractured reputation slowly mending as he dedicated himself to fostering the careers of others. And Melania, ever the strategist, moved quietly in the background, ensuring that the seeds they had planted would continue to grow. The phrase that had adorned Mia's gown lingered in the collective memory of the fashion world, a reminder of the night everything changed. True elegance has no gatekeepers. It was more than a statement, it was a promise. The city buzzed with energy as another spring bloomed over Manhattan. Fashion Week was in full swing, but this year felt different. The aftershocks of the Emerging Designers Foundation's showcase were still rippling through the industry. People no longer whispered about Mia Loron and her meteoric rise. They spoke of her as a pioneer, a figure who redefined the fashion world's core values. In a sunlit park near Soho, Mia sat on a bench with a sketchbook on her lap, her pencil moving quickly over the paper. The wind tousled her hair, but she paid no mind, absorbed in her work. A little boy approached her, holding a bouquet of wildflowers in his tiny hands. "These are for you," he said brightly, thrusting the flowers toward her. Mia laughed softly, accepting the bouquet. "Thank you. These are beautiful, just like your smile." The boy's mother, standing nearby, recognized her immediately. "You're Mia Loron, aren't you?" she asked, her voice tinged with awe. "My daughter is studying fashion because of you. She saw your designs online and said, 'If Mia can do it, maybe I can too.'" Mia's heart swelled. "Tell her to follow her dreams. There's room for everyone." As the mother and son walked away, Mia glanced down at her sketchbook. The lines she had been drawing took on new meaning. Each design, every stitch she envisioned, carried the weight of the message she and Melania had fought to share. Across the city, Elliot Montgomery walked through the halls of a bustling design school. He'd taken on the role of a mentor there, sharing insights gleaned from decades in the industry. Today, he was helping students prepare for their final showcase. "Don't be afraid to take risks," he told a young designer nervously, holding up a vibrant, unconventional piece. "Fashion is about telling a story, and every great story has bold chapters." The student beamed at his encouragement. For Elliot, moments like this had become his lifeline. He no longer yearned for prestige or power. His satisfaction came from the success of others. Later that evening, he sat in his modest apartment, flipping through an old photo album. Images of the Latoile Luxe boutique stared back at him, stark reminders of who he used to be. He closed the album, a wistful smile on his face. "I've come a long way," he murmured to himself. At the Foundation's headquarters, Melania stood in the main hall, surrounded by staff and supporters. The space was alive with activity, designers presenting new collections, interns rushing to assist, and donors discussing the Foundation's next big event. Melania's assistant approached her with a clipboard. "The latest numbers are in," she said. "Our reach has doubled this quarter. Designers from over 20 countries are participating in our programs." Melania nodded, satisfaction flickering in her eyes. "Good. But let's aim for more. There's still work to be done." As the assistant moved away, Melania glanced at a framed photograph on the wall, a candid shot of her and Mia from the first showcase. Below it, engraved in silver, were the words that had become the Foundation's motto: "True elegance has no gatekeepers." In the years that followed, the fashion industry transformed in ways few had predicted. Young designers from underserved communities began to rise, bringing fresh perspectives that reshaped global trends. Established brands started collaborating with these new voices, fostering a culture of innovation and inclusivity. Mia's designs graced runways in Paris, Milan, and Tokyo, yet she remained a fixture at her small studio in Soho. It was here that she met with aspiring designers, offering advice, encouragement, and the occasional critique. Her foundation flourished, creating opportunities for thousands of creatives worldwide. Elliot, though no longer in the limelight, found fulfillment in his quieter role. He continued mentoring and occasionally collaborated with the Foundation, proving that even those who stumble can find a way forward. Melania, ever the visionary, expanded her efforts beyond fashion, advocating for inclusivity in other industries as well. She remained a symbol of resilience and the power of using one's platform for good. One crisp autumn evening, a gala was held to honor the Foundation's 5th anniversary. The room was filled with laughter, applause, and heartfelt speeches. As Mia took the stage to deliver her address, she looked out at the audience. Melania in the front row, Elliot seated quietly off to the side, and dozens of designers who had found their voices through the foundation. When we started this journey, Mia began, we didn't know where it would take us. But we knew one thing, that fashion, like life, should never exclude. Tonight, we celebrate not just designs, but the people behind them, their stories, their dreams, their courage. The applause was thunderous. As the evening wound down, Mia stood with Melania, gazing out over the glittering skyline. Do you think we've done enough? Mia asked again, echoing her question from years before. Melania smiled, the same quiet wisdom in her eyes. We've done something. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change everything. The two women stood in silence for a moment, the city alive around them. Their work wasn't finished, but the seeds they had planted had grown into something extraordinary, a legacy that would continue to inspire generations to come.